Great presentations, equally great, and it should be in line with that the topic of this international conference, that is climate change and its integrations of the climate with all relevant areas. And I think this session we will be having on invited topics. So let's start, and presenter are requested to confine their lecture within 6 minutes and 2 minutes for interests. So first you introduce yourself and start your presentation.
Good morning everyone. Myself Krishi. I am doing now PhD in Agriculture Extension in Uttar Pradesh Vishwavidyalaya. Today I am going to present my seminar on sensitizing the business on the economic livelihood impact of the large carbon enterprise. As you all know, Sikkim, Kalimpong is very famous for the various cash crops, and large cardamom is one of the major cash crops of our country. India, it has a share 54% share of the total production in the world. And again, Sikkim occupies first position in large cardamom production. It contributes 88% of the total country's production. Consequently, it is obvious that large cardamom enterprise would have a great impact on the socio-economic status of the farmers who are involved in large cardamom enterprise. For example, I have misstated one reference that large cardamom contributes United States dollars in 500 to 1700 to annual household cash income in Sikkim, and depending on the land holding size and farm management efforts. But in recent times, there are several factors. Because agricultural production is almost dependent on various climatic factors and other factors. That's why sometimes great risk and uncertainty that come, which hinders the contribution of this large carbon enterprise to the socio-economic development of the farmers. In this situation, I want to mention one very important cause. Climate change today is very important, which affect the production and productivity of any agro-based enterprise. For example, shift in the winters and prolonged summers in the state is being attributed for the downfall in quality and quantity of large cardamom produced in the state. It was one report that was published in 2011. Therefore, there is a strong need to make appropriate strategies from time to time with changing the situation around for sustaining the contribution of this large carbon enterprise to the livelihood of the farmers. But any strategy formulation first requires situational analysis. What is the situation which is prevailing in the area regarding the socio-economic impact of the large carbon cultivation? Therefore, I have chosen this topic, and I tried to find out what are the attributes of the large carbon farmers which are very much important in case of sensitizing them towards the socio-economic impact of the large carbon enterprise. My research methodology was that local research, pilot study, sampling design, empirical measurement of the variables, then preparation of interview schedule, pre-testing interview schedule, method of data collection, and statistical tools. It was the local research. The research was done in Sikkim and Raulakha, Boski, Lok, Lamchok, Guleb, Abarlamatam and Chamchung block under block Regu, West Sikkim district in Sikkim. This was my sampling design. These are the variables which are used. 18 number of independent variables I have taken, and my dependent variable was socio-economic impact of large cardamom cultivation. This was my method of data collection and the statistical tools I have used for this study. It is the distribution of the respondents according to various attributes, which we found that among the respondents, age, caste, family size, family education status, family annual income, annual expenditure, and lifestyle position, house type, extension contact, mass media communication, management orientation, risk orientation, innovativeness. It was highly consistent and social impact of large carbon cultivation, which is my dependent variable. This was also very highly consistent. Then from correlation coefficient, I have found that the variables like education, family education status, mass media exposure, management orientation, risk orientation, and innovativeness, it was significantly and positively associated with their socio-economic impact of large-scale enterprise according to the farmers. And one important findings I have found that livestock position. Usually, livestock position goes positively associated with that impact, but here we have found that it was negatively associated because during our data collection, the previous year of the data collection, there was a huge loss in large carbon production. That's why they have to take another opportunity to continue their livelihood, and the government also give them in subsidy the previous livestock, poultry and other things, and that's why they have to give much time to this livestock rearing. That's why they got very less time to manage effectively their large scale enterprise. Therefore, the profit was lesser, and subsequently its impact on the social development was also bit less. In multiple education analysis, I have found family education status, then management orientation, risk orientation, and innovativeness is contributing towards characterizing this dependent variable socio-economic impact of large-scale cultivation, and family annual expenditure, livestock position, and social participation. It was negatively contributing towards characterizing this dependent variable. As I earlier discussed about this livestock position, why it was found negative. Another social participation. It was also a factor which contributing negatively towards characterizing the dependent variable, because we found that the persons who are participating in various social institutions like panchayats or other institutions, they have to give much time to the institutional activities of that organization. Therefore, they got lesser time to manage their large-scale enterprise effectively. That's why the profit and productivity got lessened, and subsequently the social impact of the large-scale cultivation, it was also less in that case. It was my conclusion that most of the large-scale growers have admitted that there has been significant contribution of this enterprise to their livelihood, and the socio-economic factors like education, family education status, mass media exposure, management orientation, risk orientation, and the innovativeness of the large-scale growers impacted a lot in a large scale in case of their economic upliftment to this enterprise. Therefore, if we are to delineate an impact pathway for economic development of the business through practicing large-scale enterprise in a sustainable way, that would require utmost care for in-depth analysis and factors that are identified and that interrelationships. Thank you.
So, thank you, Abhishek. It's a nice piece of research work, and you identified some of the causal variables which are impacting on their livelihood. Okay, and what's the way it is related to climate change perception? Is there how the rediscernible impact of climate change on the livelihood so far cardamom enterprise is considered?
He said nowadays climate change has taken a very great role in case of declining the production and productivity of the large cardamom enterprise in that area where I have studied. And also the area divided this area of cultivation is also decreasing due to that climate change. Various factors are there associated. That's why if we have to make the farmers more interested or motivated to cultivate this large cardamom scientifically, then you have to think about their psychological attributes too, so that they can adopt the modern technologies, climate resilient technologies to apply in their large cardamom enterprise and get more profit from that.
So you are trying to catch up with ecodynamics
Yes.
in response to the climate. The floor is open. Any couple of questions? Then
Yeah,
from the audience.
let me ask one more question. You have mentioned one general statement that climate change has an impact on large cardamom production and productivity. Can you specify only one example? Can you specify?
Climate change.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I have, one reference I have given, sir. Shift in the winters and prolonged summers in the state is being attributed for the downfall in the quality and quantity of large cardamom produced in the state. It I found in a report in 2011.
Which reference?
Sir, report.
First one?
The red colored.
Red color.
Yes.
Okay, it's a nice question. Could have been better if you could have selected some empirical variables in your studies. And for example, farmers' perception. What is the farmers' perception on climate change and its perceived impact on cardamom enterprises? Nevertheless, it's a good piece.
Actually, sir, I have also studied that, but I could not include that.
Okay. You have started but could not accommodate it. Thank you. Keep it up. So,
A very good morning to all of you. The topic which I am going to deliver, better I'd say the topic which I am going to discuss with you all is little bit controversial. Yes, that one decision has taken the whole country with a surprise. And some of us welcomed the move very well because it was for curbing the black money and restrict terror funding and fake currencies. But in a country like India, where most of the transaction, even more than 80% of transaction happen in cash, this one decision has caused effect on agriculture. In agriculture, which is the largest informal sector of Indian economy, has shown a strong resilience to the effect of demonetization. I have collected some videos from news channel.
Restrictions on cash have also taken a serious toll on farmers headed into marriage season. There is no cash in the market and the only way out is short-term loans.
दोस्ताने खर्चा पानी करने वाला था पर पैसे नहीं हो लिए ना कोई मार्केट में नहीं दे रहा कोई
বিক্রি করে চেক দিচ্ছে সেই চেক নিয়ে কি আমরা খাবো আমাদের আলু কিনতে পাচ্ছি না আমরা লোকের দাম দিতে পাচ্ছি না লোকের দাম পার ডে 250 টাকা একটা লেবারের দাম
So, with this background, my study has been taken to develop a scale to measure the impact of demonetization on agriculture and allied sectors. The method suggested by Likert in developing summative rating scale was followed. First step, that is collection of items. After studying different review of literature, newspaper available on that time or demonetization period, and after discussing with different extension personnel, we have selected 50 statements reflecting those factors which are affected badly during that period. And after that, step 2, that is relevancy test. To judge the degree of importance of each item, a panel of 60 judges were requested and their opinion was collected in terms of relevance of each statement on a 3-point scale, ranging from most relevant to relevant with 2, 1, 0 score respectively. And the item having relevancy score more than or equal to 0.60, that is relevancy score more than 60%, was considered for final selection of the statements. And step 3, that is item analysis. After some modification and linguistic improvement as suggested by the different experts working in different research station and state agriculture universities, it was exposed to another 60 respondents to response on a 5-point scale, ranging from strongly agree to strongly disagree, and values of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And p-value was also measured to find the extent to which a given statement differentiates between high value and low value. And step 4, that is reliability. Based on these responses, Cronbach alpha was calculated for each item to assess its discriminatory or internal consistency. Finally, 24 statements have been selected, fixing Cronbach alpha as 0.70 or more for inclusion on the final scale. And here are the results and discussion. Effects on agriculture, horticulture and others. First, that is delayed in Rabi season. Yes, there was a delay in Rabi sowing and by 1 to 2 weeks, but it picked up the pack subsequently. It is normally 88% area covered at the end of December, 30 December, but this year it has covered more than 91%. So, demonetization does not affect on the crop sowing or Rabi sowing. Secondly, that is crash crunch. Farmers use cash to buy seeds, fertilizers, chemicals, agriculture machines and to hire the farm labor. As most of the Rabi season crops are self-polluted crops, so they need not to buy fresh seed every year. So 70% of the seeds they are using self-produced seed and rest of them they are buy from, they used to buy from different public sectors, private sectors, etc. And reports are showing that the sale of seed from private sectors and public sectors reduced this year. In case of fertilizer, the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India showed that the fertilizer offtake this year reduced by 7% than last 2 years. And horticulture crops. The sale of horticulture crops dropped by 25 to 50% during demonetization period, especially vegetables and fruits which are perishable in nature. And effects on agriculture marketing, producers were unable to sell their produce and supply chain management was disturbed, and rural income people of lower economic strata like daily wage workers suffered most, and farmers forced to sell their produce and ultimately farm income slumped. And demonetization cast shadow on wedding season and delay in treatment of patient in many. Demonetization has addressed the perennial problem of banking system in rural areas.
And in 2014, when we sat for this workshop in Tibeto-Lhasa, Gangtok, and it has been found in vulnerable category under the IUCN because of its availability in Sikkim. And this is the workshop where we conducted, and it comes around vulnerable category. And in Sikkim, Himalaya, it's in Nepali dialect, it's called Sanskriti. And according to my this survey, these associate plants, Fragria, Trillist, and this Candida species are in the high number. And not much used in indigenous traditional system in Lepcha, also in West Sikkim, in this thing also I tried, but not much used this one. They didn't use that much in traditional medicine system. And these are the, I think, in field observation, right? And particularly big this one because this Anisima species is the indicated species. It's also reported in 2010 that whenever if you go to the field, if you see this Anisima, it is likely to present the Caris polyphylla. There is more favorable this one associated species. And in little bit temperate region, this is Sarpuka species is the one that this usually thrives. This is the ripened this Caris polyphylla. It's taken around October in the year. And present population density of the species is a little bit higher than reported when was done in Nepal back in 2010. And it's already been categorized in endangered in Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir and Uttarakhand in 2010. And this is the this average population density, and this is the Caris polyphylla genus found in Sikkim. Around 8 number, not detailed. This taxonomic data is happening, but still not reported, but this is happening. And this Lachung, Lachen, Zongo is usually come to Singtam by reach Siliguri via this one Singtam. And this is the study site, and because population density is higher in Thormung area, because that might be the reason, because it falls under national park, so that's why still there is availability of species comparatively more than other. So this is the, I think, picture of conservation density. And conclusion. So my conclusion would be. Promotion of medical nursery garden would be best for conservation, and this one after the survey, there's many interested young people have come up for cultivation in their home, private holdings, and involvement of local people are very necessary. And this is there is urgent need to conservation of herbaceous species in Sikkim. So acknowledgement and references, and this is the Paris looks like flowering and flowering.
Thank you, Mr. Lepcha. Yes. Now, I want to have.
Now this house
there
is
is
for you.
There is one query. What is the total production in Sikkim? Do you have any idea of this?
Production, only illegal marketing is happening, but after the some survey, it might around, I think, 500 kg, I think, per year, but illegally. They collected in some one parts in West Sikkim, so I have.
And the total area under this?
Total
Does the people have started its cultivation?
very little, sir. Very little, very little. They have less knowledge about the cultivation.
Now, it's open for discussion. If anybody has inquiries regarding this, ask.
So what do you know about that data? That is for wild.
Yes, wild species.
Not cultivated.
Not cultivated only, because people have very less knowledge about the importance of plant. Only the outsiders come and they show the rhizome, and this is this much, and you know the plant, and we just go and we just rampantly extract from the wild. So that's why they have not yet started the cultivation. After my this research only, they a little bit this awareness has came.
Anybody? Anybody? Then, thank you.
Thank you.
About the effect of agricultural chemicalization and effect of agricultural chemicalization on health and sanitation of farm women and children. Let's have the beginning. From our old Indian manuscripts like Sanskriti, we know that Jatra Narjastu Pujjante Ramante Tatra Devata. That is where the women are respected, there the God exists. And these women are the backbone of every society. And their contribution to agriculture is too immense to measure, and yet too unrecognized also. If measured by the extensiveness and intensiveness of these women's contribution to farm women's shoulder is much more burden than men. And so obviously they suffer from different health problems which adversely affect their working efficiency and family welfare. And we know that it makes the situation more worse. And the women have shorter time to rest than men, and the environmental degradation is increasing their workload. Such as in our district, there is a problem of arsenic. So
of environmental resources, there is conservation and protection of tourism spots, as well as cultural heritage of government. It enhances the better image of the particular region or destination area to the areas to the outside world. At the same time, it encourages new ideas, stimulates new thinking about new venture among the potential decision makers. Here, decision makers, I mean to say different administrators at different levels of the government and all the levels. Next, we see there is a close linkage between tourism and economic development. As in most of the cases and in most of the countries, especially in third world countries, this tourism has served as an option of last resort to develop their economy. We can see, we can have example of our own place, Darjeeling, Kalimpong, as we are here at this science center. This is also one of the example. And effective it is also, we see that these two, tourism and economic development, as a close linkage in the form that it is an effective means for income generation through creation of multiple employment opportunity. We see multiple employment opportunities in the form that it creates different varieties of employment like tour guides, cooks, drivers, cleaners, etc. This is a very example, like some cooks are there and tour guides. Now we see national, regional and local governments in developing countries, they are emphasizing more on tourism literature due to the positive benefits it brings in the form of income and employment generation. There are different parameters that have been used to study the level of development achieved through tourism, and only the important ones have been highlighted. The first one is annual per capita income earned through tourism. The second one is investments and borrowings made by the local residents for tourism purpose. And the third one is variables and fixed assets maintained by the household. In the third one, we see usually the rooms that have been made for the visitors. And we see there has been a recent development in tourism, new development in tourism industry, especially in international front. The The first one is it has become an important source of international economic relations. Secondly, it contributes to the gross domestic product of the country, and at the same time it generates foreign exchange earnings and has become one of the largest and leading service industry in the world. According to the World Tourism Report of 2010, it's to 7%, and its direct contribution to global GDP has been increased by 3.3% to 4.5% in 2011, and still is expected to rise by.
The people are going only to allopathic medicine because when they are scared to have some disease that needs to be cured, like they go to the hospital or they go to the pharmacy, they go to the doctor, that we know allopathic medicine is curing more the symptom than the person. What are the active principles? Why a plant is helpful, is good for health? What are the principles which we use in traditional medicine? What are the phytocomplexes, the molecules and the synergies that are in one plant? For example, you can use the roots, or you can use the bark, or you can use the flower, or you can use the leaves or the fruits. And then what is the tradition? And then what we go into the practice, teaching different extraction techniques, different from the traditional medicines. For example, hydrolytes, which is on water, based on water, or hydroalcoholic extract, which are very simple tincture. One of the problems that we face here is the preservation. So we need to have a substance or something to preserve. Alcohol is one, but we discovered that if you have domestic roxy, it is not enough because you need at least 40-45%, and so even home distillation is not good in be used. Okay, but this is for medicinal purpose, so I was able last time to find some vodka, because, for example, in the Western country you find alcohol for medical purpose for 90%. So here you need to buy vodka or you need to buy brandy, otherwise you cannot do this kind of preparation. So other extraction techniques in wine, in vinegar, in oils, and then the syrup. We are producing the syrup and oleolids. Syrup you add sugar. Sugar is the preservation, and juice, of course, use the fresh plant, so you don't need to preserve. And then the decoction, which are you need to put the plant and boil it for a long time. It is not an infusion. And the decoction you use then for the syrup. So you filter. You will see now some preparation. And then, of course, distillation is a process which allow to use the oil, the precious distilled oil, but also the aromatic water, which are very, very good to put in creams. So we are also making creams. So you see some of the papers that we are giving to the students. These are two of the plants that we used last week. Last week we had intensive workshop about women health, and this is a very useful plant for women. As far as this one that we could not find in the area, it's called Tribulus terrestris, the botanical name. Perhaps if somebody knows if it is in this area, I would be grateful. And this is the Nepali translation, so this is Amla, and we have all these 40 papers now translated in Nepali for our students. So these are some of the products of Wild Herb, which is the company in Italy, which is producing phyto remedies and phytocosmetics, also creams and all these things. And we are bringing here this kind of experience, 30 years of experience. But as I told you before, the main goal is to help a community to become aware of the resources they have. And so now the remedies that Jari Bhuti is producing are given only to the community, and they are checked, monitored by the dispensary, health dispensary. They record all the patients, and I will show you some data about the trend in health or in diseases that we got in the past 3 years, because we are monitoring the situation to see if these remedies are really helpful and effective. So the future medicine, this is our point of view, will be a synthetic medicine, because also allopathic medicine now is going back to some consideration which comes from the past. For example, that we need to cure the person and not the symptom. We need to take care of the human being, not only the stomach ache. And so the future medicine for us will be a synthesis of all the medicines, all the approaches, and sometimes you need, of course, you need modern medicine or allopathic. Sometimes it's enough if you take an infusion. So we need really, we believe that we are going to future medicines which will take care of the human being as a whole. So this is now when we start the laboratory, and his motto, health soils, healthy mankind. We have put also healthy plants and healthy mankind, because of course, which are the plants that we are using now? We are only using plants which are growing wildly, spontaneously. Until now, no cultivated plants. And of course, if in the future they will cultivate plants, they need to be organic, or at least organic for sure. So this was the workshop, and when we have the workshop, it is not only a knowledge about the plants, but we give basic training on anatomy and physiology, because then they have to provide the prescription to others. They need to understand. They need to understand about the diseases. If it is a really serious disease, they need to be sent to the hospital. But if they are easy things, they need to understand what's going on. So this is the group. Majority are women, but not only, as you can see. And you can see the first phase is always the identification of plants. So the students are helped to recognize the plants and to tell what are the traditional uses, and studying with all the papers. And these are the doctors, the herbalists giving the training. We have a Nepali translator, and we give recipes so for every practice, for every remedy, they get the recipe. And usually we use a complex of before 5 till 7 plants to be more effective in the recipe. So you see some preparation. This is a press. They are pressing the decoction and filtering, because then they will use the water for the syrup. This is a preparation of a cream. It is a cream for skin diseases, but this time we also prepare a cream for internal female diseases and problems. You see what very important, the training goes also on hygienic condition in the laboratory, so aprons, as you saw, the cups, and cleaning, the cleaning condition, because we noticed that it is not so easy to convince the people that you need absolutely to have completely hygiene in the preparation. This is the small distillation plant, and on the left side you see the ampolla has the transparent liquid is aromatic water of lemongrass, and the essential oil is only on the surface, only the layer which is on the surface. And on the right imaging you see this small wedge is digital, which, because for the preservative sometimes we need to have the exact weight, for example 1 gram, and then we need to have all these precision tools, instruments. So these are some of the production that still the label is written by hand, because the production is small, and this is a catalog of the production. So mainly syrup, but also creams, as you can see, and mother tincture in alcohol, in oil, joint pain oil, for example, and other kind of oils. So this is we are giving certificate for the training that they attend, and they need to attend everything. And you see here Mr. Banish who is giving the certificate. So now only 2 words about the result or about a statistic that we only received 1 week ago. So we need really to study it. And if somebody wants to come to Maghabari and have research, some of the academic here, would be wonderful to have research about the result of this thing. Maghabari has many interns doing thesis or research. You are welcome, I think, no? There is
just before we finish off, just like to say that we do get a lot of interns from all over the world, short and long term too. I noticed somebody who had an Erasmus. I think Mr.
Yes.
Gogo, we'd like to talk to you on this. If you're, sorry. And how much more have you got?
No, it's Sanita.
Yeah. So, but this is it's fantastic. We just got it.
I will let you speak.
Yeah. So, but you can see that the impact on the Maghabari community, which has been meticulously, tabulated, recorded, etc., has shown some dramatic results which she'll talk about. And just before she finishes, after she finishes, I'd like to have one-liner. I'll seek all your indulgence for that. Here you go.
Okay, so we got this graphic, which is very old. It's representing the cases of diarrhea in 2001-2002. So what we saw that there are like peaks. And so we spoke with the paramedics, so cases of diarrhea are more recurrent during spring and monsoon. So now we are trying to cross the remedies or the administration of the remedies with this kind of data. But this is what I wanted to show you. We have, so the paramedics have recorded for some diseases the trend from 2014, 15, 16, and you see the cases of fever has gone down dramatically. It is from 2,000 plus to 500 in 3 years. Diarrhea, the same. Back pain, the same, and cough and cold. And these are all diseases that we are trying to cure with these herbal remedies. And you see here the total patient from 2014 to 4,255 to 1,366, which is now, we have to check. Now we will start crossing the data to see if this result really comes in a simple way from the administration of the herbal remedies. Because if it is so, it is stunning. And we need obviously to have more verification about them. Okay, I'm finished, and this is the logo of Djibouti, and I hope our work will really become like an ocean of help, of research, of wellness for everybody here in the area. Thank you.
Just to wrap it up. There are 2 pillars that society needs. One is science. You need that pillar. You cannot ignore it. It's a very central pillar. So we have to ground that very strongly. On a matchstick head, you can have 10 billion bits of information that can be easily disseminated. We've got to use it very effectively. Science. The other is what we talked about. Health in the soil. For healthy mankind, with traditional methods and non-traditional methods. We have to ground that too, so that this is not lost from time immemorial. We build the two together, couple it with sustainable forces, and build that bridge for all of humanity to walk into a new era of peace, prosperity, and radiance. And you guys have to play a very important role. And to prove my point, this is a very latest Italian jacket, but I've influenced the designer, one of the top designers. Prove it. Can you see that? The holy cow. Not the Narendra Modi cow, this is the holy cow. Okay, cheers.
Thank you, Mr. Raja Banerjee, Chairman of Makai Body Tea Estates, and Madam Fiorentia Bortolotti. I had been to also Florence 2009. I've been to Florence.
My name is Florence.
Okay, so am I correct in pronouncing it? Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. And really, we are blessed for a couple of minutes in Spellbound, mesmerizing lectures and case study, which reveals the other side of human civilization. I am quoting Dr. Geddes. Dr. Geddes, the social scientist, mentioned once that the knowledge is socially created, socially transmitted, and socially maintained. So individual ownership of knowledge is another kind of capitalism against humanity. The great thing being done by yourself is that you are imbibing, intriguing, and intuition into a great journey through the community knowledge that has been recycled into deliverables to the humanity. And whenever we are talking about the tea gardens, generally the news are occupying the headliners. Tea gardens means hunger, tea gardens means poverty and deaths, array of deaths. But here we are getting a different story. Our unique tea garden means decline of diarrhea, decline of death, and increase of livelihood. Thank you, and big hands to this great story. So again, I want to conclude your presentation quoting Higgins, and he is also another very good friend of mine. He is mentioning that whenever the knowledge is really having a journey into the reality of human deliverables, that is really a knowledge stands to. So with these few words, we are again thanking and expressing my gratitude to the organizers for inviting them to be on the dais. And future scholars are there, my scholars are also here. So thank you for your invitations, including myself. I'm really feeling interested to visit Makai Body. Can be the epicenter for social science researches on ethnomedicines and ecology.
Professor, what I'm trying to say is Makai Body is not mine, it's very much yours. Yeah. I'm only a very temporary student passing. Anybody is most welcome.
I want to add that I think it was in November or December, we visited your university in Kuch Bihar. We met the Vice Chancellor also, and we were sharing this experience, and we had also the idea to start something together. So the idea was to have 9 students of the 4th year of medicinal plants attending the workshop, but then it was not possible. So we hope it will be possible in the future to have the students also attending, coming, and see what is possible to do with big commitment but small funds. Thank you.
Thank you, and this is the moment to welcome them with the memento, and that's why I'm inviting to do this honor. Dr. Gordon, please be on the dais, Dr. Sajid Ali, and Dr. G.C. Mishra, please be here. And this memento will be handed over, both of you, on behalf of the organizer, to this epicenter for research, Makai Body, the epicenter and epitome for social science research and ecology research, please. And Dr. G.C. Mishra and Dr. Sajida, just put up your hands together. And Dr. Guru, community means community hands together. A big hands and go down to our first. Okay.
We need some lady. I am alone.
Okay. Thank you.
But all Italian is one is equal to
Okay, thank you. Thank you, great. I think we will again come back to our business of interaction, that is presentation. But before that, can we have a tea break, or we can continue with this? We can continue because a lot of presenters are there waiting. So those who have already uploaded their material over here, may I invite the next presenter? And where is Professor Sadali? He's coming. So may I invite those who have already uploaded and yet to upload their presentations? Please have it done and introduce yourself, and for each presenter 6 minutes time and 2 minutes for interactions. So most welcome and introduce yourself.
Good morning, respected chairman and my dear participants. Today I will focus my Today I will focus my talk on the effectiveness of protected areas, whether they are effective for the conservation of rich biodiversity in the Sikkim Himalayas. So I am Basundara, from the Department of Geology, Sikkim University. So we all are familiar that the spatial and temporal patterns are the most critical properties of the ecological communities. And in the spatial pattern, we have two kinds of gradients, that is latitude and one is altitude. So latitude, earlier most of the researchers, they have carried their research on the latitudinal gradient, but since latitude is a very, very vast expansion, it's really difficult to carry the resource, use resources, and the time is required. That's why the same kind of research has been replicated along the altitudinal gradient. So altitudinal gradient, the study of distribution of species along the altitudinal gradient will provide us very effective tools for the assessment of the conservation priorities. These are the known facts, like we are losing the biodiversity all along the globe simply due to the forest fragmentation, forest degradations, fragmentations, and so many anthropogenic pressures. So there is a fact that 90% of the Himalayan forest will be lost by 2100, and most of the species living there obviously will go along with it. So understanding the distribution of species along the elevation will provide us a very, very effective tools with much less resource and in a limited time. So hence the prioritization of areas for the conservation is very much required. And in the time of climate change, when we are losing the biodiversity at a very fast rate, this will provide a very effective tool for the conservation. Now, we all are familiar that Sikkim is a part of the Eastern Himalayas, which is recognized as a global biodiversity hotspot. So my study area is a Sikkim Himalaya. It's a very rock mountain with a very small geographical area of 7,096 square kilometer. You can see the picture, actually it's almost 90 degrees. So the entire state is considered as the catchment of River Tista. And here in the picture you can see the altitudinal gradient, as our invited speaker was clearly saying, within a very short span of time, short span of altitudinal gradient, there is a very diverse change in the vegetation, diverse change in the climate and the altitudinal pattern. So from this picture you can see 900 to 300 we have, I think this picture will clearly show the tropical semi-deciduous forest, which is located below 900 meter. And next we go to tropical broadleaf forest, which is between 900 to 1800. And then next is the temperate broadleaf forest, which is between 18 to 2800 meter. Then you have mostly the conifer forest, which is inhabited by mostly pines, junipers, rhododendrons. That is 2800 to 3800. And then above this, you will get the subalpine zone, where the trees have really become stunted due to the climatic harshness. You can see in the picture, the pine trees are really short, they don't grow to a big trees. And further higher up, you see only the no trees and no herbs, no shrubs. They have all been reduced into herbs and some creepers. It's clear in the picture. And beyond that, we have Greater Himalayas or Trans Himalayas, mostly with cold desert that is continued to the Tibetan Plateau. Now, to understand the effectiveness of the conservation areas, we have selected 4 taxa: animal fauna and the woody plants, that is birds, reptiles, amphibians, butterflies, and the woody plants that has been studied from 300, right from the Rangpu, that is the start of the Sikkim, where the Tista ends and then joins the West Bengal, and from the start, that is Cholamu Lake. So all along the gradient, along the Tista Valley, we have studied, our study area was distributed all along the Tista within 23 elevational sites. Now, since our taxa was very different, we have used different methods. For the birds and the butterflies, we use open with point count method, where the researchers or the observer will stand in a fixed point and observe these species within a radius of 25 kilometers or something like that based on the forest types. And for reptiles and amphibians, we use the time constraint visual encounter survey where the researchers will search in a fixed area, taking off the looking for the microhabitat, trees, litters and everything. And for the plants we use quadrant method, standard quadrant size for the plants. So our results has shown for the birds, most of these species were below the 2000 meter. So it's clear from the graph that is the richness is peaking at the 2000 and more species towards the lower elevation. And this graph shows the elevational distribution range of species. Here we can see only one species was spreading from 0 elevation to 4500. Otherwise, most of this species was having a really narrow elevational range. That is, most of these species were limited within the 500 meter elevational range. Similarly, for reptiles, the richness was more towards the lower elevation. This is also the range profile of reptiles. Here also lower elevation range. One important thing to note from this picture is most of the lower elevation species were distributed in a narrow range, whereas the higher elevation species was having the wider elevational extension. Similarly, for amphibians, like mostly the frogs and the toads, they were also towards the middle elevation, but more towards the lower elevation. The range profile. Now for the butterflies, you can see the clearly declining pattern along the elevational gradient. As we move higher towards the elevation, then the richness was declining. The range profile. Now for the woody plants also, you can see the most of the woody plants distribution was between 1500 to 2000 meters, and as we go higher in the elevation, the richness was declining. Now the main theme of the presentation is to compare whether our richness, the species diversity, is in accordance with the distribution of the protected areas. So you can see from this slide, our protected areas, most of the protected areas lies above 1500 meters. And we are very proudly, we are saying we have the highest protected areas. But are they effective for the conservation of biodiversity? That is a question. So most of the protected areas, except one, that is Kitan Bird Sanctuary, which is below 1000. Otherwise, most of the protected areas lies above 1500 meters. Whereas our biodiversity is more towards the lower elevation. So we can conclude that the altitudinal distribution of protected areas is unmatched. There is a mixed matching between the protected areas and the distribution of biodiversity. So most of the protected areas are in the higher elevation and which are covered by snow, moraines, alpine scrub, rocky area. Only 27% of the forest is in the protected areas. Rest all are with the moraines and barren land. And PAs cover only 25% of the global biodiversity hotspot in the Himalayas. Rest are outside the protected area. So Himalayas has many eminent extinction sites which is recognized in the all along the Hindu Kush Himalaya. And out of that 14 such sites, 9 are outside the protected area. So we can imagine how fast the extinction rate is in the Himalayas. And the current PAs are inadequate for the conservation of the biodiversity. And from our study, we found that 40% of these species are more confined to the lower elevation, mostly below 1500 meters. And most of the species we saw in the picture also, they were very narrowly distributed, very short span of elevation range, that is just 500 meter or 1000 meter. So in that case, if something goes wrong in that elevational range, the whole species will be wiped out. And further, we have a problem, mostly in the lower elevation, most of the areas are private holdings. So we cannot really extend the protected areas below in the lower elevation, mid to low elevation. So, in the lower elevation or the mid elevation, we get a mosaic system with a cultivated system with the remnant patches of forest. So, only option left for the protection is to have the community participation through awareness and retaining those remnant patches which occur in the agrobiodiversity system. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasundhara. It's a nice topic, and some of my scholars, they are also working on the Manipur areas, the altitudinal extensions and the community participation. And rightly thus, we are really concerned that lower elevational area, there is no scope for further expansion of the protected areas, but we are getting confined. And again, another important, the melting of the snow lines is offering another threats for our altitudinal strategy for biodiversity protection. Nice, and your communication is also nice. Thank you for your presentation, and floor is open. Any kind of questions and rejoinder. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, big hands to Vasundhara. And one presentation should be entertained. After that, we will go for a tea break, 5 minutes. And after tea break, we will have another, set of presentations. And by this time, hopefully, the prospective presenters, they will go on uploading their material on this laptop. Yes, great. Most welcome. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody, one and all present here. Myself, Manjit Singh. I am from Assam Agriculture University. So I am going to present my paper. Topic is evaluation of some genotypes of aromatic rice, and that is the Joha rice, for its resistance and susceptibility against sea throat disease caused by cerebral hemolysis disease, based on physiological parameter. So coming to our introduction, as we all know that rice is the staple food for the billions of people throughout the world, which covers 9% area. The 9% area means the arable land of the earth. And among the various aromatic variety, there is one variety called Joha. And this variety is only found in Assam. And very soon we are going to listen that this has already been applied for the geographical indication, and very soon we will receive this certificate of geographical indication, and it enjoyed the top position in this popularity just only because of its aroma. The area under the Joha is very much nominal. Why the area is very much nominal? Because the yielding capacity is very low, that is 1.5 to 1.7 hectare. Yes, 7 quintal per hectare, 7 ton per hectare, sorry. The area under the Joha, why it is? Because the farmer, they don't want to take the risk, only just because of the disease. There is one severe disease. The disease already has been reported, that is the sea throat caused by cerebral hemolysis in the year 1992 by Sawada and Guns. But later the disease has become resurgence from 1980s, and yield loss has been reported from 9.6 to 85% from Assam itself by Fukon and Hazarika in 1992. Based on this information, we just wanted to select the particular variety which is resistant against the sea throat and susceptible against the sea throat disease. So here are some general views: the infected panicle, unimmersed panicles, unfilled panicles, and pure culture. So objective is screening. First objective is screening of aromatic rice against sea throat disease, and the second is estimation of the physiological parameter. The parameter. So these are the 20 varieties which has been selected for the screening. Why we have selected these 20 varieties? Because these are among the Joha rice, as I have already mentioned that Joha is a low yielding variety. Among them, this is the high yielding variety. So we went for this screening, and based on the disease severity scales, standard evaluation system, we have by scale descriptions, we have already screened, and what the result we found is that 8 number of variety is found as highly resistant, and 3 is resistance, and 5 moderately resistant, and 4 is susceptible. There is no any highly susceptible variety against sea throat of Joha rice. So estimation of the physiological parameter. The parameter which was estimated was phenol, total soluble sugar, and total soluble protein as well as starch. So here are some general view of the work. So in this graph, it shows that the maximum phenol content was found in Sketiki Joha, which was highly resistant, found in screening, that is 6.4 mg per gram dry weight. And the soluble protein was found highest it was also in Keteki Joha, which was highly resistant, that is 9.2 mg per gram dry weight. And the starch was also present in Krishna Joha, which was susceptible variety, that is 37.4 milligram per gram gravity. Similarly, total soluble sugar was also present highest in Krishna Joha, which was the susceptible variety in our screening report. So, coming to a conclusion, what is the conclusion? That among the total variety, 8 numbers was found in screening as resistance, germplasm, as well as the 4 was found to be susceptible against sea thrush disease. But maximum phenol and protein and minimum content of starch and TSS is responsible. They might be responsible for the sea thrush, occurring of sea thrush disease in Joha rice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. It's again a nice presentation, and really we are concerned that some of the diseases are making their resurrection in a very healthy word.
Yes, sir.
So they are reappearing, and thanks to the climate change and the parameters, etc., etc. But you are identifying some of the resistant chemicals or content, but the danger still remains alive.
Yes.
So seed blight is making reappearing.
Yes.
Another disease may make the revisit. So how many varieties and resistant varieties we will go on exploring? Really, this is we have to be concerned because you have exactly picked up this area.
Yes.
The seed blight has made a menace to
Yes.
Assam agriculture, especially that the productivity of that crop, rice. And thank you for taking this. The floor is open. Any quick questions or rejoinder or queries? Okay, thank you. Then
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Really overwhelmed with the presentation. There is no question. That's why. Okay. May I ask Professor Sadan?
Yes, sir.
So thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
For quick remarks on this session. Sir. Professor Sadan has got huge international exposure, covering Melbourne, UK, and US, Australia, Israel. He is working on therapeutics and spices and plantation aromatic product really.
We have a very interesting session really this morning, comprising of 3, 4, 5 before the tea session, and it starts with Abhishek Saha, nicely elaborated the large cardamom situation in Sikkim. There are some factors he has taken.
And the capital constraint is also there, and the loss-making ways, there are humpty number of loss-making ways in cooperatives. Because of this, there was a suggestion, actually after cooperatives, the new generative cooperatives came. After that, now the producer company, now we are discussing, and I went to ICRISAT also, there we had the discussion of having a new concept of a new generation farmer producer organization. Regarding the farmer producer organization, it was started and it was based on the report of Yogendra Alaga committee, and it was under the Act of 1956. It did stretch all over India. Some of the parts they are having about 175 plus farm producer organizations are there, and the main objective of the farm producer organization is the primary producer should be the marketer.
यो चाहिँ बहुत ही दामी जग्गा हो एक नम्बर यो चाहिँ कुनै प्रचार छैन अन्त डाक्टर साहबसँग म कुरा गरेँ डाक्टर गुरुङसँग अन्त उहाँले भन्नु हामीहरूको अहिले त्यो सब प्रचार गर्नेको पब्लिसिटी च्यानल पनि हुँदैछ अहिले कालिम्पोङ डिस्ट्रिक्ट भयो त्यो कारणले हाम्रो एउटा जगाउने स्कोप पाएको छ अन्त अहिले धेरै केही काम हुन्छ त्यसको पछाडि यो चाहिँ मेरो विचारमा तपाईको कालिम्पोङको एकदम अन्तिम जग्गा हो र यहाँबाट चाहिँ तपाईको हाम्रो जो पहाडको हाम्रो डाइभर्सिटी छ जडीबुटीको चराचुरुङ्गीहरू एउटा सेन्टर हुन सक्छ इट्स भेरी वन्डरफुल थिङ फर ग्लोबल इन पब्लिसिटी
जुन चाहिँ यो कन्फरेन्स भयो यसले कालिम्पोङलाई कतिको फाइदा पुर्याउँछ जस्तो लाग्छ तपाईँलाई
यो पब्लिस तपाईँले भने नि म त यहाँकै हो म दार्जिलिङको म खरसाङमा बस्छु हजुर त मेरो थाहै थिएन यस्तो दामी जग्गा थियो भनेर आज आएको पछाडि म जो हेऱ्यो अन्त डाक्टर साहबसँग जो इन्टरेक्सन गऱ्यो त्यसको पछाडि मेरो त यो त जागृत सुभाइ भइगएको छ अहिले भयङ्कर एउटा फोरम हो यो अन्त उहाँ चाहिँ हो मेरो साथी यहाँ कालिम्पोङमै बस्नुहुन्छ उहाँको एनजिओ छ इटालियन नेचुरोप्याथसँग जडीबुटी हो अन्त उहाँलाई पनि प्रश्न सोध्नुहोस् के चाहिँ किन बसेको इत्यादि इत्यादि अन्त म तपाईँको अलिक ट्रान्सक्राइब गरिदिनु बताइदिउँला नि
How you feel after this international conference?
Very well, thank you for inviting me. It is the first time I come to the City of Science also, and I'm really impressed what is happening here. And the international conference, I saw a high level of lectures presented by researchers, by assistant professors, and I think it's a great opportunity for Kalimpong, for the local people also to be part of this scientific meeting, and I hope you will have this kind of meeting every year, I hope. No?
May I just add one little bit? I was amazed at the amount of expertise which is here locally, both scientifically as well as on the field, on the ground. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the exposure in an international level, and to intermingle and to have a dissemination of this various, intellectual exchange.
And I think we really need to network better also on an international plane, because we can have a lot of foreign scientists working together with Indian scientists for a better future, for the climate change problem, for many problems that we are facing all over the world, because we are one planet. And so I really wish that we can work together for a better future.
उहाँको जो कुरा भन्ने अर्को एउटा सानो एउटा बढाएर भन्दैछु, हाम्रो यो सिलगढीमा आयो भने तपाईँको ट्रपिकल सिचुएसन हो, कालिम्पोङ आउने बित्तिकै टेम्परेट भइगयो, अलिकति उकालो गयो भने फालुटसन्दको हाम्रो एल्पाइन आर्कटिक, त कहीँ पनि पृथ्वीमा छैन जो यस्तो सानो जग्गामा तीनवटा क्लाइमेटिक जोन छ। यसको अर्थात् हो द ट्रान्सलेसन, द डाइभर्सिटी अफ फ्लोरा एन्ड फौना यु नट गोइङ टु गेट इन सच अ स्मल बायोटोप। त्यसको प्रचार गर्न सक्यो भने साइन्स सिटी इज द आइडियल थिङ।
So what was the main purpose to organize international conference over here?
You have to ask the organizer, because we are only being invited. So better do you put this question to the organization.
Let's put it this way. For us, it was an eye-opener to be invited and to share and to see this munificence holistically. Okay?
To practice in a crop with edible crops on swamp after 2 years of study. So after 2 years of study, there is a agreement that in all the 3 soil depth, that means 50 centimeter, 50 to 30 centimeter, 30 to 60 centimeter, the soil pH was formed increased significantly as compared to the initial depth values. So among the different intercrop treatment combinations one semi and 2 fruit trees, the maximum increase in soil pH was noticed when intercrops with legumes, that is pea and mustard. So the similar trend was seen in the soil available nitrogen. So among the different intercrop treatment combinations under one CP and 2 fruit tree, the maximum increment in soil available nitrogen kg per hectare was noticed when intercrop with legume intercrops. So here also in soil available potassium, here also the maximum increment was noticed when the intercrops, when intercrop with legumes, that means pea and mustard. So the same similar trend was followed in case of soil available potassium. So here also on the soil organic carbon and organic matter percentage. Here also the maximum increment was noticed when the CP and fruit is intercrop with pea and mustard, that is legumes crops. So these are the few slides, maybe photographs of my experiment. So this table shows that the BC ratio of different fruit-based agriculture system after 2 years of intercropping. Here the among the different system of cropping with intercropping with one CP, with CP and fruit trees, the maximum BC ratio was found when CP and fruit trees intercrop with Frenchbean and cauliflower, and this was noticed when CP almost and pipes from this intercrop with maize and potato. The figure also shows that the VC ratio was found higher in soap cropping system as compared to the intercropping system, because in 2 years duration, we can get the return from silby and fruit trees. So that's why the VC ratio in silby in soap cropping is higher. So projected VC ratio of fruit this agroforest system after 4 years onwards. So here after 4 years, when the silby and fruit trees start to get some returns, then the VC ratio of fruit-based agroforest system will be higher than the soap cropping system. So from the study, may be concluded that the one silby and two fruit trees was found best for the improvement of soil health. Similarly, one silby species and two fruit species, that means Citrus and Paris communis plus intercrops, Frenchbean plus vertical model of agroforestry system can be profitably grown in red peatlands on the real zone of West Bengal. The improvement in soil fertility indicate that there is an immediate need for taking up such agri-optic models in the zone for attaining maximum gross monetary returns, apart from improving soil health under erosion prone area of West Bengal for marginal and risks for farmers. Thus, the fruit-based agroforestry system plays an important role, not only improving the productivity and economic returns from this system, but also in the fertility status of the soil and different depth of the soil. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vandan. It's a great effort to make a study on the combination to silby as well as fruit, rains and in between. And you're trying to extract what is the impact on the pH and other parameters. Basically, this is an ecological study, and it has got a relevance on the climate change impact, etc. And nicely you have derived your result outcome. And now the floor is open and we can pick up some couple of questions if any from the learned audience. Okay. Professor Soragi has got one question. Please.
We have one BC ratio of 5.7.
Yes, sir.
That is from sole cauliflower plus French bean.
Yes, sir.
So when it is sole cauliflower, then why it is plus French bean? If it is sole means sole.
No, sir. Sole is in 2 seasons. No, sir. French bean in current season, and in same plot in winter season there is cauliflower.
Okay, so you have calculated the gross return.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From both the seasons.
Yes, sir. Both the seasons. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then you have added to the economic dimensions of these combinations and rotation as well. Thank you. I'm inviting the next presenter.
Thank you, sir.
Part of my project topic, that is standardization of surface sterilization technique for aseptic in vitro establishment and survivability of leaf expression Gerbera jensoni rosalie. This is a color Gerbera is a rosalie variety. As we know, Gerbera is very important and it stands 4th rate among the cut flowers. It is one of the most important, valuable ornamental species grown as a potted as well as for cut flowers. As we know, there are 5 stages of micropropagation techniques, that is preparative stage, production stage, multiplication stage, plant-led production stage, and establishment stage. Prior to that, the most important step for aseptic culture establishment is the sterilization of expanse. Here is the stages of micropropagation. Now, what is aseptic condition? Let's know that it is the exclusion of invading microorganisms during experimental procedures. For aseptic conditions, we need to sterilize the instruments and culture media by autoclaving, that is at 121 degrees centigrade for 15 minutes. Now, here comes the objective of the research, that was to standardize the surface sterilization protocol for aseptic in vitro establishment and survivability of express for Gerbera and Sibirosan. Come to the materials and methods. The experiment was carried out.
Just results and go to directly to the results and applications.
These were the sterilizing agents anti-combination for surface sterilization of Gerbera. Here I use mercury chloride at 0.1% at different time durations, and as well as sodium hypochlorite, and in combination of mercury chloride and ethyl alcohol and sodium hypochlorite with ethyl alcohol at different time durations. According to the study, we found that the lowest contamination rate was found in the mercury chloride at the rate of 0.1% plus ethyl alcohol, that is 70% volume by volume, at 1 minute plus 30 seconds. And in mortality, the lowest was found in sodium hypochlorite at 10 minutes, that is 16.56. And the highest survivability rate was found in mercury chloride plus ethyl alcohol at 1 minute plus 30 seconds of treatments. Now here comes the conclusion. The treatment of newly emerging hairy lip explants of Gerbera in mercury chloride at the rate of 0.1% for 1 minute plus ethyl alcohol for 30 seconds was found to be the best in terms of express survivability. So the present protocol may be recommended for the aseptic in vitro establishment of the lip express of Gerbera Sibirosan. However, it is said that the mercury chloride is toxic to the animals and to the humans. So sodium hypochlorite is at the rate of sodium hypochlorite for 15 minutes plus 1 minute of treatment in ethyl alcohol was found to be the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And again, it's a very sorry to get you constant with the time. We got again 7-8 fresh participants. So my request to all of the participants to religiously respect the time, and we have to downsize the time available to you. But it's nevertheless a very good work, and Gerbera is one of the horticultural crops that has got tremendous ecological as well as economic value. And you are experimenting with red chemicals, which has got less lethal effect and environmental hazards. So great, keep it up. Thank you, big hands to, and welcome to the next presentation. May I welcome the next presentation? Please come here. And just 5 minutes time. Straight go to the title, your objectives, and your result.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Myself Adil Iqbal, and I am here to present development and validation of polymorphic microsatellite marker in sesame. The study contained two parts mainly. One is the development of microsatellite marker, and another is validation of microsatellite marker. I am not going for the introduction. Just one thing. We can develop microsatellite marker with the help of 3 ways. One is NCBI database, one is SSRE library, and one is genomic sequencing. But we are here discussing the NCBI database marker. This is the mainly we are doing. It is very cheap process. With the help of NCBI database, we can retrieve the ESTs from the database, and after that we can develop enriched EST SSR markers. Here is the advantage of EST SSR marker over the conventional marker. Rapidly and cheaply developed using EST SSR marker can lead to the development of genetic based map, high rate of transferability to close related species, and serve as an anchor marker for comparative and evolutionary studies. These are the flowchart. First we have to retrieve the data from the EST NCBI. Then we do the in silico SSR identification using bioinformatics tools. primer designing, and after that we go for the validation, which you can see PCR condition, testing for polymorphism genetically related and distinct individual. After that we can say that the marker is polymorphic. These are the, and now here up to here with the help of MISA we have developed a ESTS, and after that we validate this marker in the 50 diverged sesame genotype which are collected from all over the world. These are the parameter, effective allele, heterozygosity, PIC value and cluster analysis. Here we developed 235 markers. From this we got only 33 polymorphic markers. From 235 markers we got 100 markers which amplified the DNA, but only 33 showed the polymorphism. Total 270 alleles identified across the 50 genotype. Genetic diversity per locus in general was found in ranging from 0.36 to 81, which was average was 0.57. At the molecular level, genotype were grouped into 4 clusters. High GD genetic distance was observed between genotype TKG 355 and IC 2040. This is indigenous collection, and another we got Savitri, which is a local genotype with the EC 334973, which we have collected from the Bulgaria. Here, with the help of that polymorphic marker, we have made clusters which showed 4 different clusters at the molecular level. One thing, sometimes we do the morphological study where we have seen that they are showing the distinct character, but at the molecular level they had not shown very diverse indication. What are the conclusion? Here we conclude that hybridization between genotypes in diverse group TKG 355 and IC 204063. This is one cross, and another cross is Savitri with EC 33497338. Are suggested to get desirable recombinant segregation population and hence to evolve promising genotype. The first focus for any crop development to develop a high yielding variety. And here we are focusing with the help of molecular marker. We are trying to find which genotypes are highly diverse, and after the crossing, which genotypes cross will able to produce a desirable recombinant. The identified EST marker can be utilized in linkage map construction and QTL mapping, genetic diversity assessment, and marker selection, breeding, CSEM breeding program. One very big drawback of sesame, there is no QTL map yet. One QTL map developed recently 2 or 3 months ago. Here with the help of this EST, if we develop 33 from 300 marker, we can do a very good association mapping which we can relate to any specific trait with these markers. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Iqbal. I think you are from Calcutta University. It's a nice work, and what you have done, you have just clubbing all this based on cluster analysis and calculating Euclidean distance. Yes. And the more the distance, the higher the diversity, less the distance, more the opportunity. Thank you, great work, and I'm welcoming the next presenter. Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vikas from Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. My topic is assessment of loss of okra in Tarai agroclimatic conditions of West Bengal. So we all know about okra. So I will not go here from any introduction. So like other crops, okra also suffer from several biotic and abiotic stresses, of which damage due to insect pest is a major constraint. The important pests are leaf hopper and fruit borer. It causes very heavy damage, up to 40 to 56% in different parts of India, but especially in Tarai agroclimatic condition of West Bengal. It is reported to cause 38.41%. The occurrence of pest and intensity of damage caused by them varies from different crop growth stages, regions and seasons. And despite the intensity of damage caused by them varies from over season to season, but no information on season-borne pest problem and their management strategy are available. So, keeping in this view, present study was undertaken to assess the losses of okra caused due to insect pest, mainly leaf hopper and fruit borer in 3 different farming environments. Materials and methods, variety of okra was taken, and observation unit 5 plants per application, design RVD, and treatment 3. The treatment details are control, imidacloprid, and agniastra, and the spraying was done to know its efficacy. Before 24 hours, the recording was done. The pest recording was done, and after that, 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, and 40 days after spray, the data was recorded from 5 randomly selected plants from its replication. This is the preparation of indigenous microbial culture, and this one is botanically prepared pesticides. This picture is showing, as you can see in slide, and this is field view. And these are the following data I have taken during my course of investigations, research and discussion. The overall disease population was I found highest in controls followed by Agniastra, and least from controls, and this cross comparison was done between the treatment, and in all the cases the significant relationship was found. For efficacy evaluations, 2 spray was done in frost spray. The imidacloprid was found efficacious than the agniastra, and after 3 days after spray, the maximum percent reduction was achieved in case of jacint. And in second spray, same trend was found, and the highest maximum percent suppression was recorded after 3 days after spray. And percent damaged fruit, and the highest percent damaged fruit was recorded in imidacloprid followed by agniastra, and least from control. Here also when the cross comparison was done between the plots, in all the cases significant relationship was observed. In second, first spray was done here also, and here also imidacloprid was found very efficacious than the agniastra. Yes. Conclusions. Okay. Conclusions. The study reveals pest population highly untreated control as compared to others. The incidence was again higher in agniastra than imidacloprid, and the imidacloprid showed a higher efficacy than the agniastra, and maximum yield was found achieved in imidacloprid followed by agniastra, and least from controls. And from this we can conclude that we can choose the agniastra, as the agniastra is botanically prepared pesticides. As we know, the imidacloprid is very harmful and it also costly. So if we go through the safe way, so we can adopt the botanical pesticides.
Okay, thank you, Shilpa. It's a nice presentation, and I will discuss excellent and Mamtashi family.
Yes, Mamtashi.
Yes, good, great. Now you are just having a great trial, but I think more applications is also look for. You must be looking for more applications of this study.
Yes.
Second is that chemical pesticide has got hazardous effect, but that's why you are selecting botanical pesticides. That's a great thing. Thank you. I'm inviting the next presenter. Please be here. Introduce yourself. And after lunch, immediately after lunch, the validatory sessions will be organized. All are invited to be here.
A copy of the
What's your good name? Devarati. Already.
Good afternoon everyone, I am Devarati Mandal, currently pursuing my Masters in Science in Genetics and Plant Breeding in Vidhan Chandra Vishwavidyalaya. And today I am going to discuss on the disease reaction of lentil genotypes against stem phyllium blight, which is caused by stem phyllium Botryoosum waller in our West Bengal condition. Actually, this is a part of my thesis work. We are all known about the pulses and how it is important in our Indian context. The pulses actually constitute a major proportion of the diets. And actually our West Bengal farmers, they actually face a great problem in lentil cultivation. One of the great problem is the stem phyllium blight, which is a fungal blight. The stem phyllium blight actually reduces the lentil yield by 62% only. And in our university, actually what we wanted to develop a resistant variety of lentil, which will be very useful for the farmers to cultivate, and that will be very economical also, because nowadays the price hiking in case of pesticides and fungicides, it is very increasing. So that's why we wanted to develop a resistant variety. These are the symptoms of stem phyllium blights. We can see here the brown leaves. Actually, initially the disease actually appears as small, irregular beige to brownish lesions, and later on they coalesce and the plant dries up, affecting the yield. So, as I told earlier, the farmers need a resistant variety. So the search begins actually find to the genes which are conferring resistance against this blight. So what we have done, we actually conducted a trial in our district farm. And we have actually collected 75 genotypes from AICRP, that is All India Coordinated Project of Mullard. And these 75 entries of lentil actually we have shown in 21st of November in 2015. And we have also, actually, this is the pictures of our plot. Like we can see the showing and the plants after 1 month. We have actually also shown the K75, which is a susceptible entry of lentil. It is actually, K75 actually attracts the stem phyllium blight, and we have actually planted K75 after every 4 entries to actually naturally increase the inoculation pressure. And we have also gone for the artificial inoculation. Like here you can see we are actually artificially inoculating the plant to increase the disease pressure, and later on we have actually screened our genotypes to find out that what genotypes or what entries are actually conferring the resistance against the disease. This is the scale according to which we have actually collected 10 plants from each genotype, and we have actually scored the plants on according to this scale, where 0 actually depicts no infection and 1 actually depicts below 10% foliage. Yes, sir. And after the scoring, we have actually calculated the PDI, that is percent disease index of every genotype, and categorized our entries in 6 categories like immune resistant, moderately resistant, and so on. And these are the lists that is presenting the 75 genotypes under this category. Our main focus will be these 15 genotypes which we can see here, that is actually moderately resistant. These genotypes actually, according to us, contain some genes that is actually conferring the disease resistance against this stem phyllium blight. So there is a pie chart again. And these are our materials, and these are our results. And okay, sir. The percent disease index of each and every genotype actually I have given there. The disease reaction, the disease grade, and so on. Likewise, in the next slides also we can see the CV and CD value is also calculated. After the trials, we can actually conclude the 15 genotypes. Here we can see that is LL1370 and VL151. They actually contain some genes that is conferring the resistance against the stem phyllium blight. And we will be actually in future hope that we are going to cross these varieties with some high-yielding varieties that are otherwise susceptible to actually develop some resistant varieties, but also high-yielding one in future. That's our motto, sir. That will be very economical for the farmers also to invest in a resistant variety. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. It's a nice presentation, and really you have artificially inoculated the disease patient to top of the disease patients. And you selected 51 genotypes. You found that 11 are vulnerable.
Sir, I have selected 75 genotypes and 15 are resistant, moderate resistant.
15 are resistant, and rest are susceptible. Okay? So this is a kind of isolation of some genotypes so that they can be transferred to the farmer's plot and having the resistance to this blight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Keep it up, right? I'm inviting the next presenter. Laureate.
Laureate.
Your name, Laureate. Great. Any presenter here to make the presentation? Okay, wait.
No,
Get.
uploaded. Yeah, uploaded.
Okay. Okay. You are Srishant. Okay. Srishant.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Srishant Karki from Department of Fish Processing Technology, Faculty of Fishery Sciences, and I am going to deliver a seminar on the effect of frozen storage on biochemical properties and textural hardness of whole-gutted chocolate marsid or katli, which is locally known in this region. So before going on to this, I'd just like to inform a little bit about the fish. Fish is an animal or a vertebrate which lives in water, which has gills for breathing, fins for swimming, and it is poikilothermic in nature. And the nutritional quality of the fish is actually we consume fish mostly for due to its high dietary protein, and which is very cheap dietary protein. And due to this, it is mostly consumed in the developing countries rather than in the developed countries. So chocolate marsid or the katli or the Neolissochilus hexagonolapis is the indigenous species of this region, as it is mostly seen to be found in the sub-Himalayan belt and in the rivers, in the upper streams of the rivers rather than in the lower streams. So why am I choosing this species? Actually, one of the setbacks for this species is that this species is not an aquaculture variety. So most of the species is related to the sports fishing and recreational fishing. But in this region, in the Kalimpong region and the Darjeeling region, it is enlightened being put in the aquaculture system by various officials. So this leads to my objective that if this is introduced as an aquaculture variety, so later on when the production is there, we can transport it to the other places where it is considered as a delicacy. So we need to develop a cold chain. For that, the objective of my study is to develop a cold chain at freezing it at -18 and ±1 degree Celsius. Okay, so we finished. So this is my methodology. Sample collection was done from various farms in Kalimpong. The proximate composition taken was fat, protein, ash, and the moisture content. The quality parameters were the TVBN and the peroxide value. The textural analysis were the hardness of the fish measure, and the statistical analysis was done. So this is the result. This is the proximate composition of different sizes of chocolate marsid at the initial level. That is 3 divisions were there, less than 50, 51 to 150 grams, and greater than 150 grams. So after the frozen storage, these are the protein values. Initially it was 19.16, this one, and it degraded to 18.38%. This is due to the various proteolytic enzymes and the proteolytic bacteria that are working on the protein content. This is the fat content value at the initial and the final level, and you can see through the graph that it is a decreasing value. And these are the moisture level. This is non-significant actually. The moisture level content decreases from around 76 to 71%, but this is non-significant value. And this is the ash content also decreases. The pH of the gutted chocolate marsid has increased from 6.1% to 0.12%, which fairly correlates to the TVBN value that is also increasing from 3.4 to 25%. As the TVBN value is increasing, it tells us that there is ammonia liberation, total nitrogen compounds are being degraded, so this increases the basicity of the muscle. So this, for that, the pH also increases. The PV is also increasing due to the same, but whatever the PV, the TVBN and the pH are increasing, it is well within the national standards limits. So it is considered that it is safe for the food consumption after 120 days of consumption. So in the conclusion, I would like to tell the proximate analysis along with the chemical indices of whole gutted katli under frozen storage showed that all inspected marks are within the limits specified by national regulations. And this provides a strong base for the aquaculture produce to be marketable to various geographical locations, adapting cold chain, especially frozen storage, where it is considered as a delicacy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think Srishant, it's a nice, precise, well-structured presentation. Thank you. And of course, as you know, that it's the impact on cold chain management, and some of the parameters are increasing, and R-square value is very high, 0.93, 0.84, 0.91 like that. So they're explaining your variability to a substantive manner. Keep it up and do contribute something to the cold chain management. Thank you. Next one, just I will invite.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Trini Samma from Department of Environmental Science, Mizoram University.
Get closer to the microphone and be louder, please.
My topic is like effect of anthropogenic disturbance on the tree diversity of the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve of Meghalaya. As we all know, we are living in an era of the mass Holocene extinction. Biodiversity is important and critical everywhere, and the tropical forests, they are the major reservoir of biodiversity. As well, 90% of the biosphere reserve is covered by evergreen forests. But now, as time and with the increase in these humans and the population and all, there has been the direct and indirect impact on the diversity of the biosphere reserve. My objective was to determine the tree diversity in the core and buffer zone of the biosphere reserve. The core zone has been put as the the undisturbed zone, and the buffer zone is has been put up as the disturbed zone. This is the map of my study area. Meghalaya, it falls in the northeastern part, and in Meghalaya we have two national parks, the Nokrek National Park and the Baltaka National Park. The core of the national park is the core of the biosphere reserve is the national park. It covers 47.48 square kilometer, and the buffer zone, it covers 27.92 square kilometer. Why this area is important is that the core zone, we have 3 tribes in Meghalaya, the Garos, the Khasis and the Jaintias, and this core zone of the biosphere reserve, the national park, it is the major reservoir for the people of the Garo Hills. This is where we depend solely on our water supply, and the air we breathe, everything it comes from there. This is the dark green portion is the core zone of the biosphere reserve, whereas the light green is the buffer zone, and the rest is the transition zone of the area. This is a bird's eye view of the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve of Meghalaya. So what I have done is in the methodology, I have considered the core zone as the undisturbed stand and the buffer zone as the disturbed stand. Here I have just taken 0.6 hectare of the area. I have taken 10 by 10 for trees. Yeah. And this is what I have found. Total, I have found 101 species combining the core and the buffer zone. So here we can see the tree density is just 830, 830, which is less compared to the buffer zone, but the basal area is high because of the trees are they are in the buttress formation, and the girth is really high, which shows that the primary forest or the virgin forest, if left undisturbed, can yield a huge basal area. In the same way, the rest of the indices are also higher compared to the buffer or the disturbed zone. These are some of the important species based on the IVI that I've calculated. These are, I have just mentioned here, the 10 species. So in terms of family, the Lauraceae is the highest for the core zone, and for the buffer, the Euphorbiaceae is the highest. This is how the tree density and the relation of the basal area has been calculated. The tree density of the individuals decreases as the girth class increases, whereas the basal area, it fluctuates because this shows that there is less disturbance, or they have the potential to regenerate, and if left undisturbed, they can yield a higher girth. And whereas in the buffer zone or the disturbed stand, as the girth class increases, the tree density also it decreases. This shows some mild disturbance in the area. So this is my dominance and diversity curve. There is a proper niche for the core area. So my conclusion is that anthropogenic disturbance in and around the biosphere reserve is the main alteration for the vegetation in the area. But normally what people and what the layman people thinks is that we need only to protect the buffer area or the national park. But that is not the thing, because people normally, the layman thinks we have to protect only the national park, but I think that is not the thing, because the buffer area acts as a blanket for the national park. So when the buffer area is not protected, the the national park or the core zone of the area has nothing to do. So like this is why I have taken the buffer area, and like I think equal importance needs to be given to the buffer zone as well as the core zone. And like if like in small areas, like Northeast is really a small area and Meghalaya is just a small part of it, and out of the Garo Hills is just the smallest part of it. But like if small areas like this is not protected, all the forests can be fragmented and there can be a high impact on the whole ecosystem as well as the lives which depend on these like patches of forest. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you for very nice presentation. And really sorry to get all of you constrained with the time. We need a lot of interpretation. Like 2-3 things are there, that the whole periphery contradictions everywhere is there. Second thing is that you could have used the Simpson index to measure the biodiversity. It is one of the methodology can be. You have used it, no? Okay, thanks, great. And third is that that the fire of hunger and the beauty of forestry cannot coexist. So there can be a social osmosis between whole forest ecosystem with that of peripheral dynamics of the peripheral ecosystem. Great, keep it up. Thank you.
Just
and inviting.
Just a little
Okay.
Probably you are aggressively pessimistic.
No, it will be there.
Actually, like we're already working, I'm already working closely with the wildlife department also, and like we're trying to set up some like the conservation among the youngsters, you know, so like these things are like going on, sir.
No, he's really concerned, we are also concerned, and there must be an osmosis between ecological requirement and anthropogenic requirement. And that will, then again, will be the winner of the winners. Till then, say goodbye. Next presenter, please. Okay. Next presenter, please, we have, and introduce yourself.
Department of Botany, University of North Bengal. My topic is
Can you use the microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
My topic is induction of resistance in bandarin plants against Fusarium solani using Clomus fasciculatum and Gigaspora gigantea. We know Citrus reticulata is an ancient commercial crop which is cultivated in Darjeeling and Sikkim hills, and it is an important cash crop of the farmers. And these are the mandarin orchards around the Darjeeling hills, and with an annual production of 1.7 metric tons approximately. And mandarin plants undergoes biotic stresses, of which the major fungal diseases and the bacterial diseases are listed. And Fusarium solani and Fusarium oxysporum is one of the most important fungal diseases caused in mandarin plant. This includes my study area. And after wet seeding and decanting, AMS spores of Citrus reticulata was observed. A diversity of spores of Citrus reticula was absorbed in the soil. And it was confirmed with the histopathological structure of Citrus reticulata, where we can observe the vesicles, the spores, the dark septate hyphae, the interradical and the extraradical hyphae. These are the same of dominant spores of Citrus reticulata, of Chlomus and Gigaspora species. Percentage of spores of 100 gram soil of the summer season, the monsoon season and the winter season was also observed, in which the Chlomus mosse was found to be the most in the summer season, while Gigaspora was found to be the most in the monsoon season and in the winter season. Now this AMF was mass multiplied in the sorghum, turf and maize plant. And the histopathological study proves the multiplication of the AMF spores in the citrus plants. Now these multiplied AMF spores was taken, selected, and only a single spore was inoculated on 1 month old seedling plant. And after these plants, they reached an age of about 5 months, they were transferred to the pots. Now Fusarium solani infects both nursery grown and field grown plants, and screening for resistance of Citrus reticulata against Fusarium solani was done, in which it was calculated, the loss in dry mass was calculated in percentage, and the color intensity of the infected roots was also observed. the detection of the cross-reactive antigens among citrus reticulata and F. solani using the agar-gel double diffusion was also performed. Now these are the PTI ELISA values, which shows the reaction of the polyclonal antibodies of Fluzer and Solani with the antigens of healthy and inoculated mandarin roots. The ITS-PCR of Fusarium solani was also done, and the specific primer which was used was FCG17F, and the RPT markers used was OPA1 and OPA4. This is the chromatin and sequence deposition of the 18S-RT region of Fusarium solani strain, and the gene bank accession number and its phylogenetic placement. Now, immunological studies was also done on the AMF spores which were isolated from the mandarin roots. And these are the immunofluorescent labeling of glomospores, which is treated with polyclonal antibodies of Glomus fasciculatum and reacted with FITC. And the immunofluorescent labeling of Gigaspora gigantea spores, which were added to mandarin roots, treated with the polyclonal antibodies of Gigaspora gigantea and reacted with FITC. And these are the immunofluorescent labeling of glomospores, which are added to mandarin roots and treated with polyclonal antibodies of Glomus fasciculatum and reacted with RITC. And these are the spores of Gigaspora gigantea and reacted with RITC. The disease index of the root rot of mandarin seedlings was observed after 15, 30 and 45 days, and it was observed that dual inoculation of Gigaspora gigantea and Glomus fasciculatum greatly reduced the index of the disease index of the plant. The growth of mandarin seedlings was also observed, in which it was observed that the dual inoculation improved the average number of leaves, the branches and the average height. Enhanced enzyme activities like PAL, peroxidase, chitinase and glucanase was also observed, in which we also it showed that both the application of Gigaspora gigantea and Glomus fasciculatum increased the enhanced activities of the enzymes.
Go to the congress.
Yes, the induction of resistance by AMF accumulated the chitinase beta-glucanase and peroxidase and gave an immunized plant with a disease-free plant and good quality mandarin fruits. Thank you.
Thank you, Trimi. It's a really nice presentation. Sangeeta. So Sangeeta, it's a alluring presentation, and mandarin being one of the economic and ecological crop for these Himalayan terrains. You have rightly selected the crop, and few species you are working on, inoculation being your approaches, and you found that some of the species they are coming up as a resistant one. And keep it up, and for the sake of the ecological sanctity and economic health. Thank you. Just one more, no? One small. Okay, one small issue. Okay.
Measuring the Fusarium solani probably, you put plus for present, minus for absent, and plus minus for weak. What do you mean by
weak?
In between is present or absent?
Actually, during
present but not active.
Yes, present but not active.
Okay.
Big band develops, and it is the band which purple color band comes out, which is not so strong.
But it is the vulnerable. So their propensity.
It is not so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I think there is enough. And time again, 5 minutes, 1 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sneha.
Get closer to the microphone, please.
I'm Sneha Mehta, pursuing MSc in Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. My presentation is based on a case study of broccoli vegetable market and adoption for consumption study. First of all, why broccoli? Broccoli, let me introduce something about broccoli. Broccoli is an edible vegetable. Just in one order. Edible vegetable, it is from belonging to the cabbage family, and the consuming portion is the flowering head of the vegetable. My main motto of the study, main objective of the study was that the consumption rate of broccoli, the adoption of the broccoli in my region, that is Nadia district, Kalyani, and some of the regions of Kachrapara, Jagori and Nayati from 24 Parganas district of West Bengal. The study was based on the random sampling that is based done by PRA method, and some of the direct collection from surveying home to home. Area and production of the broccoli. The whole world production of broccoli is 24.2 million tons, and in India it is 8.6 million tons. And broccoli is a cold crop which is grown between the temperature of 18 to 23 degrees centigrade. My survey is based on the adoption and consumption of the broccoli crop. The main view why we have to consume broccoli. Those who are non-vegetarians, they require some protein contents, and the broccoli crop is consisting of the 2.82 gram per 100 gram of the whole crop protein content. And rather than that, it also considered of vitamins and other minerals, which is very essential for the health of the people. And the main health benefits from the broccoli is that it acts as an anti-cancer, and sometimes it also acts as an anti-cardiovascular it prevents from cardiovascular diseases also. And the main thing is omega-3. It facilitates omega-3, which is very helpful for the brain development. The factors which I have derived from this study is that 60% of the population of Kalyani knows about the broccoli vegetable, but they still, some of them have not adopted it because they feel the taste is not that much good for consuming. Adoption of the broccoli, last 6 years, according to my survey, and I have referred from some of the books and all that, I got that since last 6 years, West Bengal came to know about this broccoli vegetable more prominently. There is some socio-psychological profile of the respondents. 50% of the population find that broccoli vegetable is healthy to eat, and some 25% knows that it is tasty. And other things is family likes and fun to it is a different type of conclusions from that. And according to taste, 22.5% think that it is better taste, and 55.5% thinks it is good in taste. And it is also based on the cooking method also of the broccoli vegetable. There are some of the reasons for non-consumption. The main reason of non-consumption is non-availability of the crop and lack of cooking knowledge. And in some of the regions of in some of the regions of West Bengal, it is not available, and the high price is also the main reason for not consuming this crop. The market value of broccoli in Kalyani, in my study region, is per broccoli is per kg 60 rupees per kg, and it is more than the rate of the cauliflower. So one thing, actually I want to say this, why this broccoli is having the more prominent reason to consume rather than cauliflower, because the nutrient and protein and fiber content of broccoli is much more than that of cauliflower. And it is 55% more nutritious than other cabbage crops, cruciferous crops. My conclusion is that
okay, you conclude.
Yes. The adoption rate nowadays, it is increasing because of the health reason of the broccoli, because it is very healthy to eat, and the person who are preferring to eat those who are vegetarians actually, they prefer broccoli because of the health issues. I have consulted some of the health concerned peoples and dietitians also. They have told that if you are consuming broccoli, then you will get the more the percentage of proteins, and the reasons of the diseases which such as cholesterol level and anti-cancerous, they can get protected from that.
these are some references, and some of the photographs during the survey of Kalyani market and Kachapara market. Thank you.
Thank you, Sneha. Again, you have chosen a very nice topic. And it is on broccoli, as you know that antioxidant properties, every good things are there. But the problem is that people, some like, some dislike. Some love, some hate. Some knowledge, some ignorance. All combined together to, a mixed cooking is their own. And the perceptual gaps are also there. No perceptual gaps are there. Okay, and you have also a blend of some survey work and some review work basically. So I think more of empirical studies could have added more info, field level data. However, it's an innovative approach to highlight the broccoli, and we have to go for alternative foods and vegetables in time to come, and also at the present time. Thank you, Sneha, for a nice attempt. I think Sneha has been the last. Anyone is there? No, I think so. Please come. Laureate is not there. I think 2-3 times I invited and re-invited. Somehow Laureate is not there. So thank you, my learned audience, because your support was great and was sparkling. And another important thing is that this session has a spectra of presentation, combining and integrating a lot of ideas and areas, concerns and issues, prospects and opportunities. And we are really expecting that kind of things. And of course the eco-dynamics and ecological health, ecological studies were dominating this session. And altitude studies, and of course including other, there is the cold chain, there is the fish biodiversity, ethiopian diversities, the forest and ecosystem studies, adoption studies, all are coming together to make this session, I think, enriched with. I think I am without microphone audible. So thanks to the presenters, they made this session full of and loaded with ideas, and bit of empirical studies, bit of methodological innovation can spare it. New areas to come up and to study better in-depth intuitive studies are waiting for you all. Professor Sarangi, some few remarks just. Some few remarks.
Yes. Though the audience of the dais is looking very thin, but still I do hope that you have enjoyed a lot because of the diversity of the subtopics, from fish to cauliflower, from cauliflower to broccoli, broccoli to forest ecosystem. So there are a lot of diversities there. There are some good bishop works, definitely, and it is the ray of hopes are there that good works are going on throughout India. And particularly we are sitting in the lap of the Himalayas, here threatened by the challenges of the climate. We are talking about climates, but good works only can replace and supplement our future course of research. And of course, I am optimistic and I am hoping for the good, for the best.
Thank you all, and I think you must be very hungry, so I think lunch is there waiting outside. And Dr. Misru, do you have any announcement? I think very important event is waiting, that is valedictory. Just any other announcement, please.
Thank you, Professor Acharya and Dr. Sarangi, for conducting this almost last session of this campus, because all the sessions were over already. And I hope around 16 to 17 presentations took place in this hall, and equally in all two adjacent halls. Total around 45-50 presentations took place. However, there were around 70 expected to present today, but few might not have turned up. So again, I thank the chair for beautifully conducting and making this session very interactive. And it has covered almost all the themes and sub-themes of this conference. Thank you all. 2 days deliberations, and in any say Havan, it should be any puja and anything, it should be culminated with the Havan, and that's what we thought of having a valedictory session. And however, most of the participant has already left, because Kalimpong is. They have not only come to attend and present paper, they have come to sightseeing and all. And we cannot hold them back, but even then formality has to be done. And in this series, we would like to invite Professor S.K. Acharya, Chairman of this plenary session. Please come to the dais, sir. I'll also request Dr. Sarangi, please come to the dais. It was a nice experience of 2 days deliberations. I think it was the month of October, November. Dr. Sajid and Dr. Gurung contacted Krishi Sanskriti to have a collaborative conference at Kalimpong, and he visited our Delhi office, and we decided to make an experience. Everything was fine except some logistic approach needed with corrections. I hope in future that will not be any problem, because if you are new to any new place, and above all you are also very new to having this type of collaborative conference. First time they conducted collaborative conference, and that was very. I also request Dr. Sajid, please, Professor Acharya. So, in this conference, around 320, 15, 16 submissions were there. Out of this, around 212 registration took place, and out of 212, around 30 people given consent to remain absent, not coming to attend the conference. There were around 50 plus poster presentations. All the posters were presented yesterday, and that has covered most of the themes and sub-themes of the conference. Above all, in the oral presentation session, yesterday and today together, more than 115-20 presentations took place. And yesterday it was parallel session of 4 halls, and today it was split into 3. The most beauty part of this conference was that almost every state has represented this conference. Mostly Northeast, of course, because it is being conducted here, but paper from Goa, paper from Maharashtra, paper from Orissa, paper from Jharkhand, paper from almost every Tamil Nadu. We got the paper from international participation point of view. We got paper from 3 countries, mostly from Bangladesh. 14 papers from Bangladesh. Out of 14, 7 physically came to attend their presentation, and mostly professors, senior professors from Bangladesh were there from 2 different universities. From research scholars were also there, and a student was also accompanied by them, and 2 ladies foreign faculty from Bangladesh dared to come. I must salute them, because such a difficult terrain, and they dared to participate here. A few more would have, but because of late visa approval, they could not make it to physically attend the conference. However, their paper got selected and published. We will dispatch them. I'm thankful to all the members of Himsafar, and as well as the staffs of Kalimpong Science Center, especially Dr. Sajid's team and Dr. Gurung team, and their colleagues, their students who have helped to publicize this conference in different university forums, and they too have taken keen interest to make it as a grand success. And it was a great success because, as I mentioned, that representation from all parts, and one paper was also from Sri Lanka, one from Italy. So it was a True Nature International Conference, and I'm sure in future, if they wish to have any collaborative, we will be willing to contribute lot in whatever way they want. And as far as publication is concerned, few papers were submitted late, and few might have been overlooked. Around 8 or 12 abstract, as I am being told, not published in this issue. That I assure to all the delegates that their paper will be published online, and soft copy will be available on 15th or 16th, and it will be made available to them immediately, and hard copy before 30th it will be dispatched to their addresses, because our next issue is due on 20th of this month, and then together we'll publish this backlog papers. Above all, it has covered a few journals like Journal of Economics and Business Management, Journal of Agroecology and Natural Resource Management, where Professor Acharya is editor-in-chief, Agriculture, Science and Food Technology Journal. Then it has also covered one more journal related to basic and applied biology, and rest of the abstract and few full papers and keynote address and invited to speech were also published in conference proceeding, and that is also made available here. However, it was very difficult task to carry because it was reported at the airport more than 1.67 quintal, and it was beyond our, we have to pay heavy charge, 250 rupees to 300 rupees a kg airport to somehow to make this available to the delegates, because publication is very important attraction, and that is why they come to present and get their copy. But it is always by Krishi Sanskriti. On the day of conference, they make it available, whether it is at the home state Delhi or any part of the country. Yes, last year only we have conducted a collaborative conference with UBKV with the initiative of Professor Acharya, and it was huge success there also. And next year also, this year end, we have decided to have another collaborative conference, probably last week of December. Exact date and all the details will be announced shortly on our website and the conferencealert.com. You should be in touch, and please help this forum to publicize so that maximum students get benefited. As I mentioned, more than 20,000 research papers was published since last 5 years only by this forum, and this is one of the biggest achievement of any organization. That too is self-sustainable in terms of grant and finance, because it is totally run by on your registration. We never accept or we have never taken any rupees, single rupees from any government or non-government organization to finance our activities. So why I am saying this? Because mostly NGO is known for getting grant and misusing the funds. So as a principle, we thought of having not to take, we sometimes being offered lakhs of rupees to do some noble jobs, but we say no, this is against our principle. They will not take a single rupees to have any financial addition in our activity. So why I am saying this, without external support, if you can sustain such a big organization, then why not many such organizations can come up and help the research and development community? Because 20,000 paper is not a small number. 20,000 means if you add co-author and authors, it must be a triplicate. So it means 55,000, 60,000 people must have got benefited out of this forum in 5 years. So it means 12, 15,000, 1,000 people get benefited every month. So this is the statistics you can calculate without external support. So I'm sure that in coming days, this organization, and we are publishing also 12 international journals. Normally, to sustain a journal, getting paper is very difficult. I have seen many journals getting closed. We get, say, 14 to 24 paper, 24 issues of a particular journal in a quarter. Normally, we made it initially annual journal, but we have to convert it into quarterly journal because so much paper we are getting. And that is the kind of response. We are also helping the student community and research scholars by publishing their manuscript. A small quantity, we want to publish 5 copies, 10 copies, 20 copies, hardbound, paperback. We are ready to at no extra cost, actual cost of the publishing and the formatting cost is taken from with ISBN number. So that is how we are helping the research and development of this country and the country especially of the third world, so that future should be very sustainable in terms of giving life a very human touch. And with these words, now I end by saying, and I I formally invite Professor Acharya to deliberate upon and say concluding remarks in the valedictory session. Professor Acharya, please. Before Professor Acharya say, Dr. Sarangi have to also give words plainly.
Good afternoon. It's really a privilege to me to be here in this plenary session. We are here for the beautiful seminar integrating climate with all the sciences and technologies that we have. These are actually the tools that will explain how we are addressing the climate change, which is very much concerned not only to this part of our society, this part of our country, but also to the whole country, rather to the whole world. So I must be thankful to the organizers for selecting in this way, rather viewing this problem rather in with such an optimistic way, where we would like to address climate, and all the papers presented here, all the individual or singular papers presented here are the individual footsteps, individual tools, how they have addressed. It is a matter of great pride that some good pieces of work are going on in certain parts of our country, and they have addressed in their own way how to combat the climatic aberrations and their possible impact on the crops, animals, human beings, microorganisms, in fact, all the area of life. So, the take-home message of this important seminar should be to view climate or to view the change in climate not in a way that it is causing concern to us. Rather, as it is a very, very dynamic process, inevitable process, so we have to cope it in our own way. We have to find solutions so that all animals and plants, all the microorganisms have their research and development wings to cope up with their own way, in their own way. So we the human beings, being the, what should I say, most intelligent creatures of the world, so definitely we have certain things to do. We think in a positive way. We have to think in that way so that our good earth will be a beautiful place to live in, where every darkness, every dark night will be full of the moonlight. So with these words, again, I'm thankful to the organizers for organizing such a beautiful event in this lab of the Himalayas. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Sarangi. Now I invite Professor Acharya.
Very good afternoon, and thanks to all of you, especially to the organizers. I have been doubly honored, invited to deliver the keynote address, and also invited to deliver the valedictory address, speech. Thank you, Dr. Mr. He's a very good friend of mine, and thank you for your, this endeavor to promote the young scientists, scholars to come up in the limelight of what we call your scholastic pursuits. Thank you, Professor Sarangi. He has got an international exposure in the area of ecological research, especially with special focus on therapeutics in spices and plantation crops. Thanks, Dr. Sajid Ali and his team organizers. Thanks, the leader of this science center, and those who already extended their great hand to make it a great success. Thanks to Dr. Chirantan Chattopadhyay, my brotherly to me, the Vice Chancellor of UBKV. Now I think making the valedictory speech something concluding, really a very arduous task. But I find that we started our civilization with this good earth. We are profusely blessed with nature. Soil, water, beautiful nature, biodiversity, community, culture, praxis, tradition. But the way we start modernizing ourselves went against the existence and growth of this traditionality. We invited during I think last part of the 19th century, of course, and after that, we started modernizing and industrializing our civilization. A reversal of that flow and reversal of the growth started happening. It was earlier forest center and rural ecosystem center. Now we started industry and urban center mobility. These reversals has got an isolation in between. Had it been in a mutually osmotic process, that is the existence of the rural ecosystem and the functioning of the upcoming and belligerent urban system could have a synergistic impact, a mutual osmosis, perhaps we could not, should not, need not to organize that seminar on the impact of climate change. We, the people, are responsible for this. Simple example, I am giving a simple example that if you keep 100 watt bulbs burning whole night, we are adding 750 milligrams of carbon dioxide equivalent to the environment. How forgetful we are. We are casually looking at how the street lights are burning whole night. Even in this, whenever we are leaving this seminar hall, still some light will keep burning. These are small things, keep adding up and go on contributing to what you call your today's the Holocaust, going to be a Holocaust, that is global warming and so on. And some of the islands will be vanished. In Sundarban Islands, pertaining to West Bengal and India, 4 islands have been vanished already. And you know that some of the islands going to be vanished within 10 years. Coastal lines will be vanished, will be inundated to the tune of 33% by 2035 if the sea level is rising in this way. So the importance of this international conference, not lying up with having a tours around Kalimpong, of course we will have it, but it has got tremendous pedagogical importance. I'm really, really impressed. My students, my scholars, my fellow scientists, they have made this international conference through their valuable presentation. A meaningful dialogues and scripts have come up to redress the challenge of global warming and climate change. Second thing is that resonance and dissonance. So in the nature, there is both resonance and dissonance. Both are essential. If you don't break that old wall, we can't create a new one. If you don't destroy that old dilapidated building, you can't go for a construction of new one. So construction, deconstruction and reconstruction has got a dissonance in itself. But on a protracted distribution, it is to earn a resonance also. In a shorter time frame, apparently it looks a dissonance, but in the longer protracted distribution, it sounds resonantly. So dissonance and resonance being a very integral part of this ecosystem, we have to keep focusing on how to restore resonance out of the dissonance. Third thing is that community participation. Unless the community are being made participating in the process of climate change mitigation, basically the perception, then we can't do anything. Till then it will remain as a seminar topic. This seminar topic has to undergo a gradual, a sequence of socialization process. Unless the rhetorics are socialized amongst and within the communities, we can make these kind of academic discourses a reality of social acumen and social achievement. We have to do it because the things are coming, resources are coming from the public exchequer to organize, to hold this kind of international conference, maybe helped by corporate sector, NGOs or government organizations, contribution made by participants, whatsoever. Ultimately it is coming from the public exchequer who was waiting for the scientist verdict, how best we can mitigate with what you call your climate change and global warming. Another important thing is that integrations. What way we can go on integrating it? Integrational process is the most important. Some social scientists, my good friends, are there. But how to integrate with physics, with sociology? And I'm just giving an example. I had produced 3 PhD scholars only on how best the rules of physics, the principle of physics, applied in social sciences. August Comte, the father of sociology, wrote a book, Social Physics. But when we are trying to intermingle physics with social sciences, or biology with social sciences, and social sciences with biology, some people are there. I think they are a bit, skeptic. Oh, what you are doing, Acharya? You are blending physics with sociology? You are applying biology in sociology? Then my modest response to them, my dear friend Auguste Comte, a gentleman way back in 1857, wrote a book on social physics. So we, the 21st century, are really hesitant to mix all these things. There is no barrier, there is no differentiation that great between the highest epitome of scientific growth and evolution. My dear friends, we may be from different disciplines, but issue is one. We may be from the different pursuits, agenda is one. We may be different philosophies, but path is the one to protect and to conserve this good earth. Because we have to leave something back for the present and future generation. Otherwise they won't forgive us. Last one is that while we are talking about the basic philosophy of climate change, sociology of climate change, how best we can derive the social aspect of this climate change, how best the community can be involved and imbibed with the process of mitigating the climate change, and what way the climate change mitigation and adaptations are different from each other. What way, that the policy formulation can be done. You know that if hungry peoples are around the forest won't remain clean. If the hungry people are there on the coastal lines, ocean won't be that giggling. If the hungry people are on the way, in a beautiful Himalayan range, the people are hungry, the snow will start melting. Hunger and protections and stewardship and conservation, they can't go hand in hand. So we have to resolve these issues, not in isolation. How best we can generate and derive the ecological deliverables out of these approaches. So ecological services and deliverables must be there. There lies the difference between conservation and stewardship. Conservation is making 100 plants. If it is there in the forest, keep it 100. Digital conservation does not mean stewardship. Stewardship is that, yes, you need to have conservation in place, but you have to derive ecological services for the humankind. A forest area can be upgraded into rural economy by inducting tourism. I know that water body can be protected, but this water body can be translated into health tourism spot. So that is how these South Himalayan and Himalayan terrains have got tremendous impact. But my last caution is that don't distribute our rich biodiversity to those who doesn't and don't deserve it. This is our right, national rights. So be cautious and cautioned about the intellectual property rights of the community people over here. They are the repository of knowledge. They are the mentor of this biodiversity. We have to be enough cautious so that this rich biodiversity cannot be exploited by the agencies or others who don't deserve to get it. So that is how the policy implication must be there. My dear friends and fellow delegates and my scholars, we should dream, we should have a dream. 4 Ds I am always telling. You need to have a desire to protect this good earth. Then, second is, you will have a dream. Strong desire begets dream. Dream is that good earth is there. And third is destination, third D. Destination means pathway. Can be biology, can be biogenomics, can be agricultural sociology, can be soil science. The pathway must be made clear. If strong desire is there, there will be dream, second D. If strong dream is there, there will be destination, third D. And fourth D will be the destiny of humankind. So, with these 4 Ds, strong desire to dream, dream to destination, to destiny, I am just seeking your permission to draw a concluding line on this August International Conference. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Acharya, for your concluding remarks. Now, I'm just having some award of the best presenter, oral session and poster session. I would like to invite Dr. Guru to the dais to give award to the whoever is present, those who are not present, their certificate will be posted. I will call upon name. M.A. Sarkir is from Bangladesh Agriculture University. I think he has left. Vasundhara Chetri, he has also left. P. Venkateshan.
Yes.
So, from here. Yeah.
We have some. Okay.
Next is Aditi Rai, I think she has also left. Anamika Devnath, not available. There is Sujit Sarkar, not here. Suvesh Chandrawala.
Subhash Chandra.
Not here. Muna.
Yes.
Is awarded best oral presentation. I request Professor Acharya to give.
Good. Congratulations.
Saroj Rai. Last is, I think she is also from Bangladesh, Saida Nusrat Jahan. It was also in poster presentation session. So 2 award oral and poster. One is goes to Bangladesh delegate, rest are Indian delegates. 3 are collected, rest is lying with us. We managed to dispatch this certificate. If it is incomplete, please get it completed. Might be institute name might not have been created, so get it completed on the same handwriting. So thank you. So with these words, I again thank Professor Acharya. But before I finally conclude, I will request Dr. Guru to have few words to their experiences. Okay, no, I'm saying to have few. Okay, I will request V.R. Sharma sir, please come to the desk. Please, and he too has a very wide experience of academics, and above he is continuously standing since last couple of days, especially last 2 days, to look after the most toughest task was the accommodation, hotel and transport section, consisted by
A very good afternoon to all of friends and delegates. First and foremost, I thank the organizers as well as Science Center as well as Collaborating Institute for conducting such a wonderful events in this wonderful place. And have received good number of participants from different places, from Bangladesh and other countries also, and have tried to make their stay as comfortable as possible, even though some lacunas, some lackings has been there. And I, on behalf of the Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya as well as the organizing committee of this and Science Center, take your pardon for that inconvenience that has been faced by the delegates during their stay in Kalimpong. And regarding the conference, it was a nice gathering and nice exchange of idea that has been shared between the scientists, different scientists working in different parts of India. And this sort of program should be organized frequently in different places so that interaction between the workers, researchers, is very important in the present day world. With these few words, I conclude my talks here. Thank you very much.
I will request Dr. Guru to have last word, because ultimately the venue is provided by him, and he has a large number of experiences in terms of public dealing, because this is a public place, and we have also come as a public what his experiences is with this conference.
So good afternoon. So it is our great honor and it is our great opportunity to have this kind of conference in our Kalimpong Science Center. It is our first experience after the inauguration of this Kalimpong, and because this Kalimpong Science Center was inaugurated in 2008. So usually after the inauguration, we are organizing small kind of like school level, college level competitions. So this is a different kind of experience that we received because of Krishi Sanskriti, because of Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya. So we hope that in future, in coming days, in future also, we could have this kind of programs. With this word, once again, I would like to thanks to the entire family of Krishi Sanskriti, to the family of Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, and my staffs of Kalimpong Science Center, all print media, for making this program a huge success. Thank you once again.
With these words, I declare conference closed, and all can now have a beauty of scenes around and disperse from the center. Thank you very much.